Good evening, and welcome to the first Dulwich Players virtual production. Today we bring you Open Your Ears, a selection of scenes from Shakespeare plays which provide some insight into how the world of stage informed Shakespeare's writings. So, with no more ado, actors, on with the show.
Open your ears.
Open your ears.
Open your ears.
Open your ears. That's the way William Shakespeare opened his play, Henry IV, Part 2. The theatre had no curtain to raise to let the audience know the show was starting, so, as many writers did in his day, Shakespeare often used a prologue to...
Oh, for a muse of fire that would ascend the brightest heaven of invention, a kingdom for a stage, princes to act, and monarchs to behold the swelling scene.
But pardon, gentles all, the flat unraised spirits that have dared on this unworthy scaffold to bring forth so great an object. Can this cockpit hold the vasty fields of France, or may we cram within this wooden O the very casks that did affright the air at Agincourt?
And let us, ciphers to this great account, on your imaginary forces work. Suppose within the girdle of these walls are now confined two mighty monarchies, whose high upreared and abutting front the perilous narrow ocean parts asunder. Piece out our imperfections with your thoughts.
Think, when we talk of horses, that you see them, printing their proud hooves of the receiving earth, for 'tis your thoughts that must now deck our kings, carry them here and there, jumping o'er times.
Turning the accomplishment of many years into an hourglass, for the which supply admit us chorus to this history, who prologue like your humble patience pray, gently to hear, kindly to judge our play.
Playwrights in Shakespeare's day used prologues.
Two households, both alike in dignity.
In fair Verona, where we lay our scene,
From ancient grudge break to new mutiny.
where civil blood makes civil hands unclean.
From forth the fatal loins of these two foes, a pair of star-crossed lovers take their life.
Whose misadventured, piteous overthrows do with their death bury their parents' strife.
The fearful passage of their death-marked love.
And the continuance of their parents' rage
Which, but with their children's end, naught could remove.
is now the 2 hours' traffic of our stage.
The which, if you with patient ears attend, what here shall miss, our toil shall strive to mend.
Is this a prologue or the posy of a ring?
'Tis brief, my lord.
As women's love.
Lots of Shakespeare's friends and fellow playwrights used prologues.
Gentlemen, not for want of a prologue, but by way of a new one, I am sent out to you here with a scrivener and certain articles drawn out in haste between our author and you, which if you please to hear, and as they appear reasonable to approve of, the play will follow presently. Read, scribe.
Articles of agreement between the spectators or hearers and the author of our play or the other party, the 27th day of April, 2020. In premise, it is covenanted and agreed by and between the parties above said, and the said spectators and hearers, as well as the curious and envious, as the favouring and judicious, as also the grounded judgments and understandings, do for themselves severally covenant and agree to remain in the places that their money or friends have put them in, with patience, for the space of 2 hours and a half, and somewhat more. In which time the author promiseth to present them by us with a new sufficient play, merry, and as full of noise as sport, made to delight all and to offend none, provided they have either the wit or the honesty to think well of themselves.
That was by Ben Jonson. Shakespeare used prologues to set the scene. He was a master of words. Henry IV, Part 2, opens with
Open your ears.
because the audience came to listen to the plays as much as watch them. We don't know much about Shakespeare, but we do know that he loved words and used words to create worlds. For Shakespeare, words created the world of the stage.
All the world's a stage, and all the men and women merely players. They have their exits and their entrances, and one man in his time plays many parts, his acts being 7 ages.
At first, the infant muking and puking in the nurse's arms.
And then the whining schoolboy with his satchel and shining morning face, creeping like snail unwillingly to school.
And then the lover, sighing like furnace with a woeful ballad made to his mistress's eyebrow.
Then a soldier, full of strange oaths, and bearded like a pard, jealous in honour, sudden and quick in quarrel, seeking the bubble reputation, even in the cannon's mouth.
And then the justice, in fair round belly, with good capon lined, with eyes severe and beard of formal cut, full of wise saws and modern instances, and so he plays his part.
The sixth age shifts into the lean and slippered pantaloon, with spectacles on nose and pouch on side, his youthful hose, well saved, a world too wide for his shrunk shank, and his big, manly voice, turning again toward childish treble, pipe, and whistles in his sound.
Last scene of all that ends this strange, eventful history is second childishness and mere oblivion. Sun's teeth, sun's eyes, sun's taste, sun's everything.
Sometimes Mr. Shakespeare used the stage as a metaphor for love. Here is his sonnet 23.
As an unperfect actor on the stage, who with his fear is put beside his part, or some fierce thing replete with too much rage, whose strength's abundance weakens his own heart, so I, or for fear of trust, forget to say the perfect ceremony of love's rite, and in mine own love's strength seem to decay, or charged with burden of my own love's might. Oh, let my books be then the eloquence, and dumb presages of my speaking breast, who plead for love and look for recompense, more than that tongue than more hath more expressed. Oh, learn to read what silent love hath writ, to hear with eyes belongs to love's fine wit.
Writers have often used the stage as a metaphor for life and love, or even life and death. John Donne wrote in his holy sonnets,
This is my play's last scene. Here the heavens appoint my pilgrimage's last mile, and my race, idly yet quickly run, hath this last pace, my span's last inch, my minute's latest point, and gluttonous death will instantly unjoint my body and my soul, and I shall sleep a space, but my ever-waking part shall see that face whose fear already shakes my every joint.
Then as my soul to heaven her first seat takes flight, and earth-born body in the earth shall dwell, so fall my sins that all may have their right to where they are bred, and would press me to hell. Impute me righteous, thus purged of evil, for thus I leave the world, the flesh, the devil.
That was grim.
Yes, well, all the world is a stage, after all. An idea not unique to Shakespeare, though. In 1613, Thomas Heywood wrote,
The world's a theatre, the earth's a stage, which God and nature doth with actors fill. Kings have their entrance with due equipage, and some play their parts well, and others ill.
Thomas Middleton, 1624, A Game of Chess.
The world's a stage on which all parts are played.
The stage was the world, and the world was the stage. The flag flying over the Globe Theatre from 1599 to 1613 said in Latin,
Totus mundus Adject histrionem.
Translation.
All the world's a stage.
Oscar Wilde said, "The world is a stage, but the play is badly cast."
Hey.
Not you. I love actors. Shakespeare loved actors too. All the world was a stage, and he loved to show how actors lived in the world.
Is all our company here?
You had best to call them generally, man by man, according to the script.
Here is a scroll of every man's name which is thought fit through all Athens to play in our interlude before the Duke and the Duchess.
First, good Peter Quince, say what the play treats on, then read the names of the actors.
Marry, our play is the most lamentable comedy and most cruel death of Pyramus and Thisbe.
A very good piece of work, I assure you, and a merry. Now, good Peter Quince, call forth your actors by the scroll.
Answer as I call you, Nick Bottom the Weaver.
Ready. Name what part I am for, and proceed.
You, Nick Bottom, you are set down for Pyramus.
Ah, yes. What is Pyramus? A lover or a tyrant?
A lover that kills himself most gallant for love.
That will ask some tears in the true performing of it. If I do it, let the audience look to their eyes. I will move storms. I will condole in some measure. To the rest, yet my chief humour is for a tyrant. I could play Hercules rarely, or a part to tear a cat in, to make them all split. Now, name the rest of the players.
Flute, the bellows bender.
Here, Peter Quince.
Flute, you must take Thisbe on you.
Ooh, what is Thisbe? A wandering knight?
It is the lady that Pyramus must love.
Nay, faith, let me not play a woman. I've got a beard coming.
That's all one. You shall play it in a mask, and you may speak as small as you will.
And I may hide my face. Let me play Thisbe too. I'll speak in a monstrous little voice. Thisbe, Thisbe. Ah, Pyramus, lover dear, thy Thisbe dear and lady dear.
No, you must play Pyramus, and Flute, you Thisbe.
Well, proceed.
Robin Starvling the tailor.
Here, Peter Quince.
Robin Starveling, you must play Thisbe's mother. Tom Stout the tinker.
Here, Peter Quince.
You Pyramus's father, and myself Thisbe's father. Snug the joiner. You the lion's part, and here I hope is a play fitted.
That was the famous mechanical scene from A Midsummer Night's Dream. More of them anon, but first we should note that Shakespeare loved scenes where actors played, well, actors. Here, from his most popular tragedy, is Hamlet, Lord Polonius and two well-known but unnamed actors.
The actors are come hither, my lord.
Buzz! Buzz!
Upon mine honour.
Then came each actor on his ass.
The best actors in the world, either for tragedy, comedy, history, pastoral, pastoral comical, historical pastoral, tragical historical, tragical comical historical pastoral, scene individable, or poem unlimited.
You are welcome, welcome. I am glad to see thee well. Welcome. We'll have a speech straight. Come, give us a taste of your quality. Come, a passionate speech.
What speech, my lord?
I heard thee speak me a speech once. An excellent play, well digested in the scenes, set down with as much modesty as cunning. One speech in it I chiefly loved. 'Twas Aeneas' tale to Dido, and thereabout of it, especially where he speaks of Priam's slaughter. If it live in your memory, begin at this line. Let me see. It begins with Pyrrhus. The rugged Pyrrhus, he whose sable arms, black as his purpose, did the night resemble, hath now this dread and black complexion smeared with blood of mothers, fathers, daughters, sons, and thus o'ersized with coagulate gore, with eyes like carbuncles, the hellish Pyrrhus old grandsire Priam seeks. So, proceed you.
Anon he finds him, repugnant to command, unequal matched. Pyrrhus at Priam drives, in rage strikes wide, but with the whiff and wind of his fell sword, the unnerved father falls. Then senseless Ilium, seeming to feel this blow, with flaming top stoops to his base, and with a hideous crash takes prisoner Pyrrhus' ear. For lo, his sword, which was declining on the milky head of Reverend Priam, seemed in the air to stick. So as a painted tyrant, Pyrrhus stood, and like a neutral to his will and matter, did nothing.
But, as we often see, against some storm, a silence in the heavens, the rack stands still, the bold winds speechless, and the orb below, as hush and death. Anon the dreadful thunder doth rend the region, so after Pyrrhus' pause, aroused vengeance sets him a work, and never did Cyclops' hammers fall with less remorse, and Pyrrhus' bleeding sword now falls on Priam. Out, out, thou strumpet, fortune! All you gods in general synod, take away her power, break all the spokes and fellies from her wheel, and bow the round nave down the hill of heaven as low as to the fiends.
This is too long.
Even the history plays sometimes had plays within plays. In Henry IV, Part 1, Falstaff, a drunken fat knight, has been leading the Crown Prince of England into a life of crime and bawdy living. Prince Hal is about to be called before his father, the king. So, with a barmaid as the audience, Hal and Falstaff do a bit of practicing so the son can prepare for the confrontation with his father.
Do thou stand for my father and examine me upon the particulars of my life.
Shall I? Content. This chair shall be my state, this dagger my sceptre, and this cushion my crown.
Thy state is taken for a joined stool, thy golden sceptre for a leaden dagger, and thy precious rich crown for a pitiful bald crown.
Oh, Jesu, this is excellent sport, i' faith.
Weep not, sweet queen, for trickling tears are vain.
Oh, the father, how he holds his countenance!
For God's sake, Lord, convey my tristful queen, for tears do stop the floodgates of her eyes.
Oh, Jesu, he doth it as like one of those harlotry players as ever I saw.
Peace, good pint pot, peace, good tickle brain. Harry, I do not only marvel where thou spendest thy time, but also how thou art accompanied. For youth, the more it is wasted, the sooner it wears. That thou art my son, I have partly thy mother's word, partly my own opinion. If then thou be son to me, here lies the point. Why, being son to me, art thou so pointed at? A question not to be asked. Shall the son of England prove a thief and take purses? A question to be asked. But yet there is a virtuous man, whom I have often noted in thy company, but I know not his name.
Oh, what manner of man? And it like your majesty?
A goodly portly man, in faith, and a corpulent, of a cheerful look, pleasing eye, and a most noble carriage. And as I think his age some 50, or by a lady inclining to 80. And now I remember me, his name is Falstaff. I see virtue in his looks. I speak it, there is virtue in that Falstaff. Him keep with, the rest banish. And tell me now, thou naughty varlet, tell me, where hast thou been this month?
Oh, dost thou speak like a king? Do thou stand for me, and I'll play my father.
Suppose me? If thou dost it half so gravely, so majestically, both in word and matter, Hang me up by the heels for a rabbit sucker or a poulter's hair.
Here I am set.
And here I stand. Judge, my masters.
Now, Harry, whence come you? The complaints I hear of thee are grievous.
Splod, my lord, they are false. Nay, I'll tickle ye for a young prince, if they.
Swearest thou, ungracious boy? Henceforth ne'er look on me. Thou art violently carried away from grace. There is a devil haunts thee in the likeness of an old fat man. A ton of man is thy companion. Why dost thou converse with that bolting hutch of beastliness, that swollen parcel of dropsies, that huge bombard of sack, that stuffed cloak bag of guts, that father ruffian, that vanity in years?
I would your grace would take me with you. Who means your grace?
That villainous, abominable misleader of youth, Falstaff, that old white-bearded Satan.
My lord, the man I know.
I know thou dost.
But to say I know more harm in him than in myself, were to say more than I know. That he is old, the more the pity. His white hairs do witness it. But that he is, saving irreverence, a hallmaster, that I utterly deny. If sack and sugar be a fault, God help the wicked. If to be old and merry be a sin, then many an old host that I know is damned. If to be fat be to be hated, then Pharaoh's lean kine are to be loved. No, my good lord, banish Peto, banish Bardolph, banish Poyne, but for sweet Jack Falstaff, kind Jack Falstaff, true Jack Falstaff, valiant Jack Falstaff, and therefore more valiant, being as he is old Jack Falstaff. Banish not him thy Harry's company. Banish not him thy Harry's company. Banish plump Jack and banish all the world.
I do. I will.
Shakespeare loved actors, but he loved his words more. And he made sure the actors knew it.
Speak the speech, I pray you, as I pronounced it to you, trippingly on the tongue. But if you mouth it, as many of your players do, I had lief the town crier spoke my lines. Nor do not saw the air too much with your hand thus, but use all gently. For in the very torrent tempest, and as I may say, the whirlwind of passion, you must acquire and beget a temperance that may give it smoothness. Be not too tame neither, but let your own discretion be your tutor. Suit the action to the word to the action. With this special o'erstep not the modesty of nature. Oh, reform it altogether.
Actors were a rowdy bunch in Shakespeare's day. Here's what Thomas Nash, a friend of Shakespeare's, said about actors.
Actors, you rogues, come away, clear your throats, blow your noses and wipe your mouths ere you enter, that you may take no occasion to spit or to cough when you are nonplus. And this I bar over and besides, that none of you stroke your beards to make action, play with your codpiece point, or stand fumbling on your buttons when you know not how to bestow your fingers. Serve God and act cleanly.
Of course, even if they were rogues, Shakespeare needed the actors to make his words come to life. But first, a prologue.
If we offend, it is with our good will, that you should think we come not to offend, but with good will, to show our simple skill. That is the true beginning of our end. Consider then we come but in despite. We do not come as mining to contest you. Our true intent is all for your delight. We are not here. That you should here repent you. The actors are at hand, and by their show you shall know all that you are like to know. Gentles, perchance you wonder at this show, but wonder on, till truth make all things plain.
This man is Pyramus, if you would know.
This beauteous lady is Thisbe, 'tis certain.
This man with lime and rough cast doth present Wall, that vile wall which did these lovers sunder.
This man with lanthorn, dog, and bush of corn presenteth moonshine. For if you will know, by moonshine did these lovers think it no scorn to meet at Nanus' tomb, there to woo.
Yes, grisly beast, which lion hight by name, the trusty Thisbe, coming first by night, did scare away, or rather did affright.
For all the rest, let lion, moonshine, wall, and lovers twain at large discourse, while here they do remain.
In this same interlude it doth befall, that I, one Snout by name, present a wall. And such a wall as I would have you think, that had in it a crannied hole or chink.
O grim-looked night, O night with hue so black, O night, whichever art when day is not, O night, alack, 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 I fear my Thisbe's promise is forgot. And thou, O wall, O sweet, O lovely wall, that standest between her father's ground and mine, thou wall, O sweet and lovely wall, show me thy chink, to blink through with mine eyne. Thanks, courteous wall. Jove shield thee well for this. But what see I? No Thisbe do I see. O wicked wall, through whom I see no bliss, cursed be thy stones for thus deceiving me.
O wall, full often hast thou heard my moans, for parting my fair Pyramus and me. My cherry lips have often kissed thy stones with lime and hair knit up in thee.
I see a voice. Now will I to the chink, to spy, and I can hear my Thisbe's face. Thisbe!
My love thou art, my love, I think.
Oh, kiss me through the hole of this vile wall.
Oh, I kiss the wall's hole, not your lips at all.
Wilt thou at Ninny's tomb meet me straight away?
Oh, tide life, tide death, I come without delay.
Thus have I, wall, my part discharged so, and being done, thus, wall, away doth go.
You ladies, whose gentle hearts do fear the smallest monstrous mouse that creeps on floor, may now, perchance, both quake and tremble here, when lion rough in wildest rage doth roar. Then know that I, one snug the joiner, am a lion fell, nor else no lion's dam. For if I should as lion come in strife into this place, 'twere pity on my life.
This lantern doth the orned moon present. Myself the man in the moon do seem to be. All that I have to say is to tell you that the lantern is the moon, I the man in the moon. This thorn bush, my thorn bush, and this dog, my dog.
This is old Ninny's tomb. Where is my love?
Oh!
Sweet moon, I thank thee for thy sunny beams. I thank thee, moon, for shining now so bright. For by thy gracious, golden, glittering gleams, I trust to take of truest Thisbe sight. But stay, O spite! But mark, poor knight, what dreadful dole is here? Eyes, do you see? How can it be? Oh, dainty duck, oh dear! Thy mantle good! What? Stained with blood? Approach, ye furies foul! Oh, fates, come, come! Cut thread and thrum! Quail, crush, conclude and quell! Oh, wherefore nature this thou lion's frame? Since lion vile hath here deflowered, my dear, which is... No, which was the fairest dame that lived, that loved, that liked, that looked with cheer. Come, tears confound, out sword and wound the pap of Pyramus, I that left pap where heart doth hop. Thus die I, thus. Now am I dead, now am I fled, My soul is in the sky. Tongue, lose thy light. Moon, take thy flight. Now die, 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 die.
Asleep, my love? What? Dead, my dove? Oh, Pyramus, arise. Speak, speak. Quite dumb. Dead, dead. A tomb must cover thy sweet eyes. These my lips, my cherry nose, those yellow cowslip cheeks, are gone, are gone. Lovers make moan. His eyes were green as leeks. Oh, sisters three, come, come to me, with hands as pale as milk. Lay them in gore, since you have shore with shears his thread of silk. Tongue, not a word. Come, trusty sword, come blade my breast in brew. And farewell, friends, thus Thisbe ends. Adieu, adieu, adieu.
Moonshine and Lion are left to bury the dead.
No, assure you, the wall is down that parted their fathers. Will it please you to see the epilogue?
Oh, no, Epilogue, I pray you, for your play needs no excuse. Never excuse, for when the players are all dead, there needs none to be blamed.
It is not the fashion to see the lady the epilogue, but it is no more unhandsome than to see the lord the prologue. If it be true that good wine needs no bush, 'tis true that a good play needs no epilogue. Yet to good wine they do use good bushes, and good plays prove the better by the help of good epilogues. What a case am I in then, that am neither a good epilogue nor cannot insinuate with you in behalf of a good play? I'm not furnished like a beggar, therefore to beg will not become me. My way is to conjure you.
And I'll begin with the women. I charge you, O women, for the love you bear to men, to like as much of this play as please you. And I charge you, O men, for the love you bear to women, as I perceive by your simpering none of you hates them, that between you and the women the play may please. If I were a woman, I would kiss as many of you as had beards that pleased me, complexions that liked me, and breaths that I defied not. And I am sure as many as have good beards or good faces or sweet breaths will, for my kind offer, when I make curtsy, bid me farewell.
All the world's a stage, and all the men and women merely players. And that's all we have time for. Good night, ladies and gentlemen.